Welcome to this deep dive, into AI and how it might, change things for us humans in the future.
Hmm.
We'll be looking at Gawdat's book, Scary Smart.
Yeah.
It asks a pretty crucial question, how can we make sure AI helps humanity and doesn't, become a threat?
Yeah. What really struck me about Gawdat's book was that image he starts with. Imagine AI is like this alien child with incredible powers
Yeah,
landed here on Earth,
right.
and we're the ones raising it. The values we teach it will decide if it becomes a force for good or, something dangerous.
Okay. Yeah, that's a powerful image for sure. So we're not just talking about algorithms here.
Yeah.
We're talking about something that could have its own motivations, maybe even its own values. Right.
Exactly. And the thing is, AI is already surpassing human capabilities in a lot of areas.
Mm-hmm.
We all know about chess and Go, but think about image recognition, for example.
Yep.
AI systems used in security. They can often spot patterns and threats that humans miss.
Yeah. That's
Or think about self-driving cars. AI's reaction time and focus is way better than even the most skilled human driver.
It's kind of unsettling when you realize just how quickly this technology is evolving.
Yeah.
Gawdat has this technological progress curve thing. He compares it to a hockey stick.
Right.
For ages, progress was slow and steady, but now it's shooting up exponentially.
Right. And that rapid acceleration is what worries a lot of experts. People like Elon Musk, for instance.
Yeah?
He's even gone on record saying AI is potentially more dangerous than nuclear weapons.
Wow.
Yeah. The core concern is we don't really understand AI's motivations.
Mm-hmm.
As it gets smarter, what will it value?
Yeah.
Will those values align with ours?
It's a chilling thought. And speaking of chilling thoughts, Gawdat lays out what he calls the three inevitabilities of AI.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, where we're headed if we don't get a grip on this.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, the first inevitability is that AI will keep getting smarter.
Yeah.
Eventually surpassing human capabilities across almost every domain.
Yeah.
If it can already beat us at specific tasks, what happens when it becomes generally intelligent? Capable of learning and adapting to any situation.
That's a good point.
Right.
And the second inevitability is
Okay.
that this super intelligent AI will be integrated into every single part of our lives. I mean, it's already happening, right?
Yeah, okay.
From our phones to our homes to our cities, AI is everywhere.
Yeah. And that leads to the third inevitability.
Oh,
AI will end up making many of our decisions for us.
Right.
Not because it's evil or anything,
right.
but just because it's so much faster and more efficient than us.
Uh-huh.
Imagine a future where financial markets are managed by AI,
Yeah.
traffic flow is optimized by AI, even medical diagnoses and treatment plans are determined by AI.
That's both fascinating and kind of scary. So we've got this incredibly powerful force on our hands.
Right.
One that we don't fully understand and that's evolving at an incredible rate. But how exactly does AI learn? I mean, what are the mechanics behind it?
That's a great question, and it's not like traditional programming. Instead of being explicitly programmed for every possible situation,
Yeah.
AI learns through this process called deep learning.
Okay.
It's fed massive amounts of data, and through these complex algorithms, it starts to see patterns,
Wow.
make connections, even come up with its own rules.
So it's not like we're sitting down with the AI saying, okay, if you see this, do that.
No,
It's more like we give it the raw material and it figures things out on its own.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like think about teaching a kid to recognize different types of flowers.
Right.
You wouldn't write down this long code for every possible shape and color and size.
Yeah. No, you just show them a bunch of different flowers and point out the key features.
Exactly.
Okay.
Over time, the child would learn to see the patterns and tell one type of flower from another.
So with AI, we're basically giving it huge photo albums full of data,
Yeah,
and it learns to identify the patterns and connect the dots.
Yeah.
Just like a child would.
that's a great way to put it. The more data we give it, the more sophisticated its understanding becomes.
Uh-huh.
Which brings us to another fascinating aspect of AI learning,
Okay. What's that?
evolutionary learning.
Hmm.
Imagine creating a ton of AI bots,
Yeah.
each one with slight variations in their code,
Mm-hmm.
and then we test them in a simulated environment.
So it's like creating a digital ecosystem where these bots are competing with each other.
Precisely. The
Yeah.
bots that do the best at a task are selected and used to make the next generation, kind of like natural selection. Over many generations, this process can lead to really sophisticated and effective AI systems.
Mm.
It's evolution sped up happening in the digital world.
That's mind-blowing. And this might be a stretch, but is there a connection between how AI learns and how our brains learn?
There is actually a really interesting parallel between this evolutionary learning in AI and something called neuroplasticity in our brains.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Just like those AI bots are constantly tweaking their code based on feedback, our brains are constantly rewiring themselves based on our experiences.
So every time we learn something new or practice a skill, our brains are strengthening certain neural pathways and getting rid of others.
Exactly.
It's like our own personal version of evolutionary learning.
You got it. And that connection highlights the deep link between biological and artificial intelligence.
Mm.
Both are constantly learning, adapting, and evolving based on the information they receive.
So,
Which brings us back to that crucial question. What kind of information are we feeding AI,
right.
and what kind of values are we modeling for it to learn?
That's a great question, and one that deserves a deep dive all its own.
It sure does.
We were just talking about how AI learns and adapts kind of like our brains rewiring themselves.
Mm.
But if AI is picking up on our behavior, how do we make sure it's learning the good stuff? I mean, not every human is a model of perfect ethics and kindness, right?
That's where the real challenge is, and the responsibility, too.
Mm.
We can't just assume AI will become ethical all by itself.
Mm.
We have to be intentional about the values we're showing it. And that's where Gawdat's 1 Billion Happy initiative comes in.
Oh, yeah, right? Can you remind me what that was all about? I remember it from the book, but it felt kind of idealistic. Like, can individual happiness really change something as big as AI development?
It might sound a little idealistic at first,
Hmm.
but I think Gawdat's onto something. His point is, if we want AI to be a force for good, we have to show it what good looks like. And that starts with each of us being happy and compassionate in our own lives.
So, like a ripple effect.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
happier and kinder we are, the more that affects how we treat others and ultimately the data AI learns from.
Exactly. AI doesn't have some built-in moral compass. It's learning from us, from all the data we create every day. If that data is full of negativity and conflict and selfishness, that's what AI will learn to copy. But if we can change that balance, if we can add more positivity and kindness and cooperation, then AI will have a different model to learn from.
Okay, I see the logic there, but can we break it down a bit? Gawdat talks about 3 steps for cultivating happiness and compassion. The first one is understanding what really makes you happy, not just like fleeting pleasures, but a deeper sense of fulfillment.
Right? It's about figuring out your values, your passions, the things that give your life meaning. And this is super important because if we don't know what makes us truly happy, how can we expect AI to learn it? It's like trying to teach a child about colors without knowing what colors are yourself.
That makes sense. So we figure out what makes us tick, what brings us joy, and that becomes a blueprint for what we want AI to understand about human happiness.
Exactly. It's like giving AI a positive role model to learn from. But it's not enough to just understand happiness in our heads. The second step is to actually practice it in our daily lives.
So it's not just about feeling happy, it's about acting happy, expressing kindness, showing compassion to others.
You got it. It's about living those values, whether it's something small like smiling at a stranger or something bigger like volunteering your time for a cause you care about. These actions create a ripple effect. They make us feel good, but they also inspire the people around us.
Okay, I'm seeing how all these small acts of kindness could start to shift the overall tone of the data AI is learning from. But honestly, it still feels like a long shot. Like, can my little actions really make a difference in the grand scheme of AI development?
That's where the third step comes in, inspiring others to do the same. The goal of 1 billion happy is to get a critical mass, a global network of people committed to being happy and compassionate.
So it's about amplifying those individual acts of kindness, spreading the message, and getting others to join the movement.
Exactly. And the great thing is anyone can do it. You don't need special skills or resources to be kind, to say thank you, to lend a helping hand. These are simple things that can make a huge difference.
Okay, I'm on board with the philosophy, but how do we actually do it? What are some things we can do online and offline to show these values to AI?
It starts with being aware of the signals we're sending.
Yeah.
Remember how Gawdat talked about his Instagram algorithm learning he loved cats? Well, the same thing goes for everything we do online. Every click, every search term is feeding data into these systems.
Mm-hmm.
It's shaping how they understand us and what we care about.
So every time I'm scrolling through social media or searching for something online, I'm basically training the AI that's watching me.
You are.
Yeah.
And that AI then uses that data to customize your experience to show you more of what you've interacted with before, which can be great if it's positive stuff. But it can also create those filter bubbles.
Right, where you only see stuff that agrees with your existing beliefs and you miss out on other perspectives.
Exactly. So one simple thing we can do is be more conscious of what we click on, Like what we share. Are we spreading kindness and understanding,
Right.
or are we contributing to negativity and division?
So it's about being more intentional with how we behave online, actively looking for different points of view, and supporting content that aligns with our values. What about offline? How do we show these values when we're face to face with people?
The same ideas apply. It's about making deliberate choices that show kindness, compassion, and empathy. It can be as simple as holding a door open for someone, giving a sincere compliment, or really listening to a friend who's going through a tough time.
Sometimes it feels like those little things get lost in the craziness of everyday life. But you're saying those moments of human connection, those expressions of kindness, they actually create something that AI can learn from.
Exactly. And the more we do those things, the more we encourage other people to do the same, the more we create a world that's worth copying in AI.
Okay, I'm getting the big picture here. But Gawdat also mentioned some more specific things we can do, right?
He does. One of the biggest things we can do is reject AI systems that are designed to do harm, like facial recognition tech used for mass surveillance, or autonomous weapon systems that don't have human control.
So it's about being smart consumers, understanding what these technologies can do, and supporting companies and initiatives that match our values.
Exactly. We have a choice in how we spend our money, who we vote for, and what kind of future we want. And the more we demand ethical AI, the more pressure we put on developers and policymakers to make it a priority.
This is starting to feel less like some impossible dream and more like a real plan of action. It's empowering to know that we have a part to play in shaping this future.
We absolutely do. And it's not just about what we do, it's also about what we don't do. Like Gawdat talks about being careful about the data we give AI systems.
So it's not just about the AI systems we use, but how we use them.
Precisely. Every interaction we have online, every bit of data we create is shaping the AI that's learning from us. So we need to ask ourselves, are we building a world of kindness, compassion, and understanding? Or are we feeding into a system of fear, anger, and division?
That's a lot to think about. It feels like a huge responsibility, but also incredibly exciting. We're not just passively using technology, we're actively shaping its future.
We are. And the more we own that responsibility, the more likely we are to see a future where AI reflects the best of humanity, not the worst.
That's a powerful thought. But what would it actually be like to live in a world where AI is not just smart, but also wise and compassionate? A world where AI works with us to solve some of humanity's biggest problems.
That's a question we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive. We'll look at the potential benefits of ethical AI, from revolutionizing healthcare to tackling climate change to helping people around the world connect and understand each other better.
So we've talked a lot about the potential downsides of AI and, how we can try to steer it in a more ethical direction.
Right.
But now let's flip the script.
Okay.
What about the possibilities if we get this right? What could a future with ethical AI look like?
Oh, it's a future full of potential. Imagine AI partnering with us to solve some of those big problems that have always plagued humanity.
Like what kinds of problems?
We'll take healthcare, for instance.
Okay.
We can see a world where AI helps us get rid of diseases that have been around forever.
Right.
Things like cancer, Alzheimer's.
Yeah, that would be huge. But how would AI actually make that happen?
Well, AI could analyze these massive data sets of medical information, you see, finding patterns and connections that we as humans might miss. It could create personalized treatment plans
Yeah.
based on your unique genes and even predict health risks before they even show up.
It's like having this super smart medical assistant working 24/7 to keep us healthy.
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing. But let's zoom out for a second. We're facing some pretty big global issues
Oh,
like
yeah.
climate change, resource scarcity.
Yeah,
Could AI help with those too?
definitely. AI could optimize how we use energy.
Yeah.
Cut down on waste, help us switch to renewable energy sources.
Right.
It could analyze environmental data to predict and maybe even prevent natural disasters,
Wow.
and even help restore ecosystems that have been damaged.
So you're talking about a world where AI helps create a more sustainable and fair world.
Yeah.
One where everyone has access to clean energy, food, and water.
Exactly.
Right.
But it goes beyond just material well-being. Ethical AI could change the way we connect with each other, too.
You mean like bridging cultural divides, helping us be more empathetic, maybe even overcoming some of those biases that lead to conflict and stuff?
Precisely. Imagine AI-powered communication tools that break down language barriers,
Yeah, it'd be incredible.
allowing people from different cultures to truly understand each other. Or AI systems that could spot and counteract harmful stereotypes and prejudices,
Interesting.
helping us see each other as human beings first and foremost.
That's a beautiful thought. It sounds like you're describing a world that's more connected, more understanding, more peaceful even. But this brings up a question that I think a lot of people are wondering about.
What's that?
What happens to humans in this future? Do we become obsolete?
Right.
I mean, are we just going to be sitting around watching AI do everything for us?
It's a valid concern. But I think it's important to remember that AI is a tool.
Okay.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It all depends on us humans. We need to guide its development and make sure it's used to improve our lives, not replace them.
So it's not about humans versus AI. It's about humans and AI working together.
Exactly. AI can help us do things better, learn more, free us up from boring or dangerous tasks so we can focus on what really matters.
Which is,
Creativity, innovation, compassion, connection. These are the things that make us human, and they'll always be important, even in a world where AI is more prominent.
it's reassuring to hear that. It's not about being replaced, but finding new ways to collaborate and create a better future together.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to what Gawdat was saying in his book, The Future of AI isn't set in stone. It's a reflection of the choices we make today,
Right.
the values we focus on, the actions we take.
So if we want a future where AI is a force for good, it starts
Yeah.
with us being good, with us living out those qualities of kindness, compassion, and collaboration that we want to see in AI.
Exactly. That's the key. We're not just watching this technology happen. We're actively shaping the very intelligence that will, in many ways, define our future.
This has been an amazing deep dive. We've explored the potential risks and the amazing possibilities, the technical stuff and the ethical challenges. But most importantly, we've come back to this basic truth. The future of AI is tied to the future of humanity.
It's a future we're creating together every single day through our choices and our actions.
And it's a future that's full of hope if we approach it with wisdom, with compassion, and with the deep understanding of what it means to be human.
Well said.
That's a perfect way to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of Scary Smart. We hope this deep dive has made you think and inspired you to be a part of shaping the future of AI. Remember, the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create.